Have you ever felt betrayed by the traditional job system, and so for that reason you look for alternative solutions and options that are out there, for example, freelance work and independent contract work? Well, I'm going to share a story with you today, and the story that I'm going to share is going to put this into perspective for you about these jobs that are a scam. And I realize in my particular situation and the scenario that I'm going to describe for you that this is a systemic issue across the board. Okay, it doesn't matter if you are going after a traditional 9-to-5 job or a independent contract position, a 1099 position, or even freelance work. Across the board, these companies are gamey as hell, okay? They are shady, they are shisty, and they are shitty. We're gonna keep it rated PG today for the things that they are doing to employees who are in vulnerable positions, particularly right now in the job market. As I record this video, we are dealing with massive layoffs in all industries, and people are out of work. They're needing to do whatever it takes to maintain their livelihood. And as a job seeker, okay, again, doesn't matter if you're looking for independent contract work, work in corporate America, or any other type of job, gig work or what have you, you've got to be really, really cautious and careful about the companies that are actually claiming to be hiring when in fact they are scamming you. And I want to talk about a specific incident that actually just happened to me, which prompted this video. And so I got on shades right now, first of all, because it's bright out here, okay? And I'm trying to take a look to see if you could see me really clearly, because I'm squinting and I don't want to squint at you the whole time. But let me just tell you, aside from that, it's appropriate for me to wear these shades. It's appropriate, in fact, for the sun not even to be capturing my face completely, even though I feel like the sun is on me. I'm in the shade kind of in a sense, and I'm going to be throwing a lot of shade today. Okay, so this whole scene is appropriate. I am pissed off, and so I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm on one today, because I do not appreciate how these corporations rather, are claiming to be hiring employees of all types, right? Hiring independent contract workers, hiring freelancers, when in fact they're just reeling you in, they're baiting you in, they're hooking you on a job that doesn't exist, or they're having you jump through hoops with fire and then they're ghosting you. Okay, it's just all kind of scams going on, and I need you to be aware. I am going to be throwing these companies under the bus. I am going to be exposing what's really going down. I am going to tell you not only what happened, but what you can do if this has happened to you, if this happens to you, or somebody you know who you care about, who's close to you, a close relative, a friend, a colleague, a coworker, or anybody that you're associated with. I want to get this message out. So I'm going to ask you to share this video, and if this sounds interesting to you, and as you're getting value, and if this is the kind of content you like, I talk a lot about like everything jobs on my channel, okay? And I also talk about multiple income streams and how you can generate revenue for yourself through multiple income streams, so that you don't get caught up in all of this madness that we're going to talk about today, okay? So please do subscribe to my channel and make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode whenever I go live or upload a new video, okay? So let's get into it. We're going to talk about it, and I'll, every now and again I may take off my sunglasses just to see, as the sun is not so bright in my face, but for now we're going to leave them on, okay? I ain't trying to be shady, but I'm going to tell you about these shady companies, because they are on mad annoying right now, right? And really have the audacity to be gaming people the way they are. So let me tell you what recently happened to me, okay? Going to detail this situation. I'm going to paint the picture, and I'm going to be talking about exactly what happened to me. I mean, when I say recently, I mean as of last week, what I was dealing with. So first of all, whether you're new to me or true to me, I appreciate you being here. Welcome, or welcome back to my channel. So just last week, I'm not in the workforce any longer, in case you don't know, okay? I am a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, and I utilize YouTube, I leverage YouTube, this platform, to actually as my lead generation as a part of my business, okay? And so, but aside from that, I am a nurse, okay? I'm a holistic business coach and an RN health and wellness educator. And so I have multiple licenses that I have to keep active. And for that reason, I've always had my toe, or my foot, as you could say, in the space of healthcare, and meaning I'm not necessarily working for a company, like, I don't have a traditional 9 to 5 job, right? But I've always been an independent contractor. So I've done 1099 work. I've always done seasonal work. I've done freelance work and a variety of roles virtually, okay? I've also gotten corporate contracts to work with, not for, some of the corporate companies, some of the companies within the corporate arena, I should say. So this applies to, all types of jobs. It applies to all industries. So I need you to hear me and hear me clear when I say what I say, because I need you to be aware and be on the lookout and have your radars, your scam radars heightened, okay? Because I almost got scammed, but I was prepared because something similar, not quite this similar, but something else happened to me some years ago with regard to my resume, a few times actually. So I was on high alert, and you just got to be paying attention to your instincts, to your intuition. What is your gut telling you? And I'm going to talk about all the red flags so that you don't have to look back in hindsight and say, you know what, I knew there was something not quite right with this company, but I went with it anyway because they seemed like they were legit. And then after the fact, when it's all said and done, you realize you were part of a scam, okay? Because they are going through extremes to make sure that they can capture your personal information, your demographics, your phone number, your name, your email address, your physical address, okay? And everything that's connected to it to that, for identity theft purposes, for unpaid labor purposes, and a whole bunch of other stuff going down, okay? So all that to say that, kind of just reeling it back now to what specifically happened to me. So as I was looking for, now typically, let me just say, I have credible sources. I have a network of resources. I kind of keep it within my circle of people who I know and trust, okay? So typically my resources are, just my network of resources of the people that I'm connected with on a day-to-day, people who are in my circle, right, as far as my colleagues, my associates, my acquaintances, family members, friends, but also I have a LinkedIn, of course, right? Most of us do. I don't know if you do, but I definitely have for a long time. And I utilize my LinkedIn to network with people. So some of the work that I do, just so you know, because this is gonna kind of help you understand what job or not job, but what work opportunity I was searching for. And so I usually reach out. I work as a legal nurse consultant, okay? I have a strong legal background. I also do some virtual work, seasonal work, where I'm actually doing like biometric screenings, flu clinics and that sort of things when I want to be more hands-on. But for the most part, it's virtual work, like, virtual nurse triaging and that sort of thing. So in this particular incident, what had happened is I decided to kind of go outside of my typical network. Now, oftentimes, even on LinkedIn, you can still see a work opportunity or a job opportunity. But here's what I want to tell you: even if it looks legit and you're like, well, this is LinkedIn, I mean, this got to be real, right? It's got to be a genuine position. This posting must be real. It doesn't have to be, because scammers know how to hack the system. They know how to manipulate people. They are good at what they do. This is what they do all day, every day. They specialize in this thing, okay? So you need to know that even when you see a job posted on LinkedIn, or even a real job board like Indeed, which is that's the other credible resource or credible source that I use, okay? Those are my two go-tos. Even on those job boards, even on a place like Simply Hired, Monster.com, ZipRecruiter, any of those, people hack into those systems, or they post fake jobs and they make them seem very legit, right? And sometimes they are jobs that are almost too good to be true. And if it seems as though it's too good to be true, it more than likely is. So that's the first red flag. But oftentimes, they already know all the tricks of the trade, right? They already know the questions that job seekers ask. They already know what independent contractors are looking for. They're not new to the rodeo, right? I think that's how the saying goes. I'm always messing up cliches, but you know what I'm saying. They're not new here, right? They've been doing this for a long time, so they've mastered this thing. So they know exactly what questions to ask. They know how to seem like they're legit. They know how to pose themselves as a real company and all of that. So I was in the job market, so to speak, for a nursing role that was an independent contract or freelance work as a legal nurse consultant, okay? And I already went through my close circle of people, attorneys who I know and colleagues and such, and nobody at this particular time really had any work for me to do. So I was like, okay, let me go check on Indeed. And I got, a few rejections or a few, your qualifications are great, but right now, we've already hired who we're going to hire. We'll keep your, your information, your CV or your curriculum vitae, basically your resume on file. And if we have a need for your work, we'll get in touch with you. I've even interviewed with people to just share with them, what I can offer, what my services are and how I can be of help to them, and we've had those conversations. Well, in the process of this, I actually found a company, and right now I'm not going to say the name of the company only because, and I'm going to share with you how you can do this too, but because I should probably put them on blast, but I actually have a legal claim, 3 of them, right now that I'm pursuing. Okay, so we're going to get to that, so stay for that. I'm going to share that with you towards the end. But I want to tell you this story as it happened, okay? So let's not get too off track. So this company, I did my research on. They are a real company. They've been around since 1983. It was, really a walk in the park. I mean, legal nurse consultant can be a lot, right? And there are various ways that you can go about legal nurse consulting. This was not the kind of legal nurse consulting that would require me to do any trial cases. It didn't require me to go to depositions or any of that, which I don't do anyway, or I charge for that extra, okay? And so my rates are not cheap, okay? So, and attorneys' rates are not cheap either, so they can afford to pay that in upwards of 150 plus an hour. But this was on the lower scale because this just required me to do the research, to put things in chronological order based on the supporting documentation that I had, and what that's called are medical chronologies. Medical chronologies in the sense, just so you understand, and I won't get too deep into the jargon of what all of this is because that's not the main point here. But that's simply just requiring me to take all the parts and pieces that are kind of scattered about, right? Was this person in an accident? Did when the EMS arrived, what happened? When the police arrived, what happened? What does the police report show? Did the ambulance take this individual to the hospital? What was the scene set up? What was the weather like? What were all of the details of that? Did they, when they got to ER and they did all that workup, was that person admitted to the hospital floor? Did they go to a unit like med-surg, for example, right? Did they have to go to ICU? So I have to pull all of this information together and paint the picture, the full picture for the attorney. So I'm closing the gap because they know their legal stuff, right? But they don't necessarily know the medical terminology. They don't understand, was this negligent on the hospital's part, or things like that. So that's where a legal nurse consultant can help. So that's just to give you some context around what I was going for. So this company just did the research for smaller attorneys' offices who didn't have the staff or the capacity because they were overworked and overloaded with cases, and they just needed legal nurse consultants to be a part of their team so that they can work these cases, okay? And so the turnaround was quick, and even though the pay was lower based on, as compared to what I normally charge, it still would have been well worth it because I can crank out that information for them like clockwork, okay? Very flexible, didn't take away from my main business, didn't take away from anything else I was doing. Now, I went to this company, so when I initially applied, I applied on Indeed. And when you apply through Indeed, if you haven't used Indeed before, you may or may not know this, but when you apply through Indeed, you will be able to submit your resume, and they mask the important information, like the pertinent information, the private, to keep your demographics private. They will allow your name to be seen. They will allow, I think they even just put your last initial as opposed to your full name. They don't allow your real address to show up. They mask that, and they mask your email address. Now, it is not unheard of. It is not out of the ordinary. Excuse me, because I don't want that to make noise. I forgot I had that there. That is not out of the ordinary for a company to ask, especially a smaller company, to ask for your resume through email. Okay. It is also not unheard of for companies to require their prospective employees to do any sort of assessment work, right? They want to assess your skills, they want to assess your personality. So sometimes they'll have you do a video, sometimes they'll have you do a personality test, sometimes they'll test your aptitude. Other times they'll, in my case, want to see what your practice chronology would look like, and they provide instructions specifically for that. So none of that is out of the ordinary. So when I didn't hear back from the company, I decided I'm a kind of person that I'm going to follow up, and I'm going to be in your face until you tell me no. Okay, you got to totally reject me, and then still I'm going to ask why, and I'm going to probe, I'm going to push, I'm going to have additional questions, right? Because I'm really good at sales. That includes selling my skills, okay? So, and my talent. So what did I do first? So I applied for the position on Indeed, okay? I already did my research in the company. The next thing I did when I didn't hear back, maybe a few days or maybe a week or so went by, is I contacted the company. Now this is where things start to get sketchy, okay? Let's see if it's still bright. This is where things start to get sketchy. I decided to call the company, and the company, it kept routing me to the answering service. Now, I understand when companies are busy, especially a company of this size that's dealing with the magnitude of the kind of cases and workload they're dealing with, a lot of paperwork and whatnot, right? A lot of attorneys, and their fast turnaround is what they're pushing out, quality work, that they very well can use an answering service. Not a problem, understood. But it should matter. It does matter if you can never get in touch with a human being, okay, with a live individual from the company, and every time you call, no matter what day, what time of day, no matter when, okay, you're getting their answering service, meaning they're using their answering service as a personal secretary or reception or admin staff. No, that's already a red flag. So I kept calling different times of the day, different hours, different days of the week. Every single time I kept getting their answering service. That's a problem. But then so back up just a minute. Before I actually called, I emailed, I went to their website. I saw that they had an email directly to HR. I emailed HR, Human Resources, and the person that I emailed identified himself as the HR assistant. Okay. And he says, thank you for, applying, for your interest in, this position. Please forward your resume. And I said, no, I said, this is my response, okay? Not verbatim, but this is pretty much what I said. I've already applied, and through Indeed. And what I'm asking is, please confirm that you are in receipt of my information and where you are in the hiring process, and how quickly you're looking to bring someone on board, with my expertise. He took, not too long to get back to me, and he says, oh, okay, well, thank you for applying for the legal nurse consulting position. If we've received your information, and if we are interested in moving forward, we will be in touch. Cool, that's the usual response. Didn't hear back for, 2 or 3 days. Again, I'm persistent, so I'm going to be in your face, okay? So I decided to call again to the company. Now this is actually this is the first time I called. That's when I got the answering service and kept getting the answering service. And probably the second call I made, I got a call back from the guy who emailed me. And he says, hi, this is so-and-so. He identified himself as the same individual he identified as on the email. Okay, well, then he says, oh yeah, I've been communicating with you via email. You're the one that told me you applied through Indeed, right? Blah, 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 blah. We got into conversation. He tried to, now that I know in hindsight, this is what he was doing. They're very charismatic because they're super manipulative. So he was trying to get my guards down, get me to relax, get me to trust him, right? So he basically was saying, yeah, so I said, where are you located? Tell me more about the company. I just wanted to see, if what he was going to share about the company and about the position matched what I already, read through the job description. So it pretty much did, but okay, that's normal, right? Because he should at least know that much if he's an HR, assistant. So he switched it back to me really quickly. So yeah, so where are you located? And I said, well, right now, I says, I live by coastal, but right now I'm in Southern California. He asked me about the fires, as of, recently you may have heard, it's been widespread on the news that, and this is nothing new, in Southern California, there are a lot of wildfires this time of year, but this was a very unusual situation this year. And a lot of acreage, a lot of homes, a lot of property, a lot of people lost their homes and their loved ones, lives were lost, personal belongings, sentimental value, it was horrific. So I appreciated that he asked and that he even knew about that was going on, right? And so we got into conversation and I told him straight up, look, I know the reason why I called is because there are a lot of scams going on. People are scheming and scamming. Companies or even real companies are, just using people's information. They want you to submit your resume, they get your data, and then they either ghost you or they use they're just trying to meet a quota or they use it as a tax write-off or whatever. So I just wanted to make sure that the company was legit and that the person who reached out to me by email, which was you, was also real. Oh, yeah. No, I get it. I understand. You can't be too careful, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So we hang up, or I asked him, so he said, yeah, we got your information and you're all good. And, we're getting through these resumes as quickly as possible. We got a huge response on it. All right, cool. So maybe 10, 15 minutes later after that conversation, he then followed up and he said, hey, it's me. Wanted to let you know I was the one just speaking with you on the phone. Just wanted to reassure you that I'm a real person, we're a real company. Wanted you to know that because we have such a large volume of resumes and we got such a great response from this job posting, if you don't mind just sending your resume directly to me and I can get it directly to the HR manager, because that way we can expedite this process, because I know you've been really, calling and really interested. So that would be helpful, help me help you basically. Now I was still skeptical at this point, right? Guards are still up because I'm like, well, wait a minute. You just said to me when we spoke and you said to me in the last email that you had my information. So why can't you just pull that, retrieve it from wherever your system, and then send it over to the HR manager? Why do you need me to give you my resume again? But I'm not trying to seem argumentative. I'm not trying to seem like, like, I don't know, aggressive or whatever, just over the top with it. Here he is, I'm thinking, you're trying to help me. Let me help you by giving you what you need. But because I still have my guards up and I've been through something similar before when it comes to my resume, what I decided to do was send a mix of so I have a variation of my resume, okay? Different versions, I meant to say, of my resume. So what I decided to do was send a mix of pull all of my kind of different independent contract work, even if it was from years ago, put that in there, paste that up. As far as my demographics, of course, I gave my real name because it's already on Indeed, okay? And then I redacted my real address, my real physical address in Southern California, and I put my, not P.O. box, but the address to the UPS store back east, okay, or in Atlanta.
Damn it! God damn you.
And so, oh my goodness. Ooh, that guy is not being nice to these dogs. Oh, that is abusive. Okay, that's not right. Sidetracked, okay? That was weird. I don't know if y'all heard that, but he was very mean to those dogs. Okay, I hope they're not being abused because that was really out of line. Okay, where was I? So y'all help me remember what I was saying. Oh, okay, so, I'm just gonna jump to the next thing. If I can remember to circle back exactly where I was, I will. Okay, so I've talked to this guy on the phone. He follows up with an email. Oh, I redacted my information, in place of that, I put my other address that was a UPS store. So even if they try to track it, they're gonna see it's a UPS store, okay? and it wasn't even in the area in the where I'm currently located, right? And then I have 3 phones, so I put one of my phone numbers, but it's to a business line. So I wanted to just mix up the information to confuse the hell out of them, okay? So if they were going to try to play me, no, they were going to be the ones to get played. So, speeding up the story, I maybe the same day, about maybe 15 minutes. So first he says, oh, I've already sent it. I've sent your information over to the HR manager. And I said, okay, when do you anticipate she'll get back to me? He says, well, now we're in a back and forth dialogue, right? Now everything's prompt. Oh, we're going to get through these as quickly as possible. If they're interested in moving forward, they will definitely see the guy with the dogs right there, back there behind me. That's the one who was taking the leash and hitting his dogs and cursing at them right now. Like, that's crazy. Anyways, poor things. Oh gosh, I hope they're not being abused. Okay, so I digress. Now, get back on track. So I said, okay, great, thanks. So 15 minutes, couldn't have been 20 minutes later, this lady emails me. Hi, Katrina, thank you so much for your interest in this position. We got your information. If you're interested in moving forward, I will go. She sent me like all of these attachments with the practice chronology. Now, I just told you what a chronology was, right? A medical chronology. And like I said, it's not out of the ordinary for companies to test your skill set. They want to know if they're working with the right person. Anybody can look good on paper, but do you really and truly have what it takes, right? Do you have can you deliver on what you're saying you can do? So I got that. Now, she sent the instructions to me. She sent me like a hypothetical scenario. She said, look, this is what this pretend, attorney's office or law firm is looking for. These are the specific instructions. Here's the practice chronology. We've got the EMS report. We've got when the person went to the ER. We've got, they were admitted. Here's what happened. They had lab work, workups, diagnostics, right? Yada, yada. So I'm supposed to now take all of this information and put it together and then submit it to them so they can see that I know what I'm talking about. She says, now, once you give this back to me, I'll submit it to said name. But she didn't tell me who said name was. Like, what's her title? What's her email address? Who is she? Why, who is this person? She just, broke out with a random name. I'm like, okay. So if you're interested in moving forward, let me know. And then I just need this back. Okay, no problem. I started asking additional questions. Now, I can tell this wasn't really, after a while, sitting well with this person because of the kind of responses I was getting. So that made my guards up got my guards up again. So then so we went back and forth. Now, this guy who I initially got contacted by says, wow, she already emailed you. That's great. I didn't think it was going to be until next week. I was like, yes, wow, that is great. That was pretty fast. I appreciate the prompt reply. I just emailed her back. So she was like, I told her I'd have it ready by Monday morning. She got back and says, no hurry. Now, here's what happened next. This was like on a Thursday or Friday. On Saturday, I get an email from Indeed, because they keep you abreast of, did the job go, did the employer select another employee? Did they close the job? What was the change in status, whatever it was. I got an email rejection from Indeed on Saturday telling me that, unfortunately, thank you for taking the time to apply for this position with said company for legal nurse consultant position. Unfortunately, you were not the selected candidate. The company decided to move on with another candidate. I was like, say what? What do you mean? Because I just spoke with them Friday, right? And they just said, yeah, go ahead and send your medical chronology, the practice one. That doesn't make sense. Make that make sense. Okay. So I sent an email. So then I got an email on Sunday in response to my last email from Friday from this HR manager, who I now know was not a real HR manager. And she says to me, okay, oh yes, please do forward that information. No hurry. You can get it to me anytime next week. Don't worry about trying to get it to me on Monday. I know it's going to take a while. These things take some time. Take your time, and I'll get it to Melissa this week when you send it. In my back of my mind though, I'm going, wait, so now you're telling me to send it, but I just got a rejection notice from Indeed. Why would I be sending anything if you just rejected me? Because Indeed wouldn't know they're not just randomly sending candidates email rejections. That had to come from the company selecting, pressing a button or selecting whatever happens in their end, where they have to be the ones to decide we're rejecting these applicants. Okay, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe somebody else is doing that job. Maybe because of the volume of resumes that they received, they're going through it quickly. Maybe it was an erroneous error. Maybe it was a mistake. Okay, no big deal. So I followed up with her on Monday morning asking, questions about that. Just before we move forward, want to make sure we're aligned, making sure everything's all good. Did you, in fact, is this an error? Here's a screenshot of what Indeed sent me. Did you mean to, I don't want to go move forward in doing the work. Well, I've already done the work, but sending it if in fact you've already rejected my application. So she says to me, oh no, we definitely, or no, now she's very short and curt with me. Okay, it wasn't nothing personal about it. Now she's not addressing me by name. She's just matter of fact. Okay. One little quick, not even full sentence. She might as well had did it like a text message, okay? And she says, yes, please go ahead. She skipped everything I asked her, all the questions, all the concerns I had. She didn't address any of that. Just go ahead and send your practice chronology and I'll get it to this person. No, sweetie, no. We're not doing that, okay? We're not doing that. I need to have you address these questions. So let me bullet point it for you, okay? So you're not going to skip around on what I'm asking. And I specifically asked the questions. She took a minute. She gets back to me the next morning. She needed time, I guess, to get it together with the other scammers. And so I asked the question again. I said, I need to know this because before I put in any more time, this is time intensive, labor intensive work. It literally took me 4 hours to do. Okay. Now that was ridiculous. Okay. It should never take anybody that long to do anything before they actually get hired. Okay. So that was already a problem. But now I'm not getting ready to give you my hard earned, my work, even though I've already done it, because something don't sit right with me right now. Now I don't trust you. So then she sends me a follow-up email and says, I declined your application because you have experience from this date to this date. So we're not going to move forward with your application. Excuse me? No, ma'am. No, miss ma'am. No, because that was the very reason that you qualified me is based on how much experience I had based on those dates, based on my experience, my level of expertise, specifically in the specialty areas that I am well qualified. So what do you mean? Because the very reasons you gave as to why you were considering me is now the very reasons you're using to disqualify me? I don't think so. So that's a problem, and I'm a fighter. I pushes back, okay? I definitely advocate for myself, and I highly suggest you do too. So I'm like on one, okay? So I now am really researching this deeply, right? And I'm using Google, I'm using ChatGPT, I'm on their website, I'm doing all this research, I'm looking at reviews, I'm doing all these things. Everything seems to check out, but every time I call that damn number, somebody else, the answering service, will answer the phone. So I finally asked the girl who answers the answering service, the phones for the answering service, what's the name of your answering service? Who's the company you work for? She didn't know. Who's the company I work for? You don't know the company you work for, sweetie? It's I'm not going to say, well, she just gave me the abbreviations, LMA. Okay, I said, well, what is that? What's the name of the company? I don't know. I'm not sure. I said, what do you mean you don't know? You don't know the name of who doesn't know the name of the company they work for? That's insane. So, well, we work for, that's not the company I work for directly. We just work for companies who hire us and they hire other company answering services specifically. So we're just answering the calls and taking messages. I don't know why they're not answering. I can't answer that. So I kept asking her hard questions, not hard questions, questions that she should have known the answer to. She didn't. So I finally did some research on this company she gave me the credentials for. I looked them up. I found a company that was a call center answering service. I called this company, got an answer. This lady says, "Well, I don't want to get in any trouble. I don't want to break any rules." I said, "Can you just tell me, if I give you the phone number I'm calling, who the company is? You don't have to disclose your relationship with them. You don't have to tell me any details other than if this is a legit company." So she looks it up. She says, "Yes, it is." So now I'm puzzled. Like, what is going on? I mean, are they in cahoots with this company? Like, is this a whole operational thing going on? Okay. All of that to say, all of this led up to me finding out that this whole thing was a scam. This is a company who is using people, disguising themselves as a real company, right? Hiring real employees, independent contract workers and freelancers. And they're using these individuals like myself who have this experience to help them crank out all of this work. Basically, they're doing this whole unpaid labor thing, okay? So I already spent 4 hours, even more than that, because I had to, it was just the whole thing. I would say in total, back and forth with them on emails, phone calls, research, doing this 4-hour plus chronology. I had to get another version of Adobe because I couldn't edit the images or read what I needed to. Like, it was just a whole thing. So again, I'm a fighter. I'm an advocate for myself. I want justice and I want it now, and I'm not backing down from this situation. So I sent them a follow-up email with a formal complaint. They did not respond. I knew they wouldn't, but I still wanted them to have that. I didn't send it as an attachment because they can just easily argue they never received the attachment. They didn't open it, right? And by the way, on their email, everything looks legit. It's a real phone number, but it's not a phone number that's really to the company, right? Somehow they will get a number that's similar and looks like an extension, but it's routing to, I guess, like a personal line or whatever. They also have the company's, the signature line at the bottom. They have the company's logo, everything up. If you click on the little icons to their social media platforms, they're really there. You can get, it's a whole thing, okay? So I sent them the first email with a formal complaint. They didn't respond. I sent a follow-up 3 days later, a follow-up to that email with another one telling them, that I expect answers. So now this is clarification of expectations, because I'm not just asking, I'm demanding that I get answers and an explanation to this. And then in the meantime, what I did just 2 or 3 days ago, I filed a formal complaint to these agencies, okay? And this is what you can do too. And I see this is getting a little long, but I've got to get all of this in here in case you weren't aware that this was a thing, and I need you to be safe out there and protect your privacy and your peace of mind, okay? And preserve your energy and not do all that I did, okay? Although, like I said, now you know, right? So pass this information along. I filed with the General Attorney's Office so that they can start an investigation. I filed with DOL, Department of Labor, so that wage complaint, so that I can get paid for the work that I did, the unpaid labor, right? When they had no intentions of bringing me on board. Also, the back and forth emails. I submitted all of the supporting documentation that I had, the instructions she sent, the practice chronology, the emails, the Indeed, the job description, everything, okay? Even got phone calls. Now you got to be careful with that because you can't record phone calls depending on what state you're in. That could get a little bit tricky, a little bit hairy, so you want to be careful, okay? I'm putting on my legal nurse consulting and HR hat today for you because I want you to be careful with this part, even so that you don't get yourself in further trouble, because they can actually turn around and sue you if they're not aware you're recording them on a recorded line because you didn't ask permission and get their express consent, right? So just so you know. Now, I also filed with Department of Labor, Attorney General's office, and FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, okay? And you just put in your information, you detail what happens, summarize it, you submit any supporting documents you have to back up your claim, and then you let them go to work. If this was like more fraudulent in a way where, money was involved, or they got your social security number or your identity is, compromised in any ways, then you can also file with IC3, okay? So they will investigate as well. So these are just ways in which that you can take what, learn from my lesson, learn from my situation, and, understand that these are the things that you can do and absolutely should do, and be aware that these companies are out there. They are just, there's a lot of things I want to say about them, but again, I'm going to keep this rated PG, but let me just say this. They're vultures, okay? And I don't want you to fall victim to these companies who are doing this. So if anything is off, and I know people are like, I don't have time to do all of that. I'm trying to find a job. I'm trying to maintain my livelihood. I got to keep food in the fridge. I got to keep a roof over my head. I got a family over here. I'm dealing with, whatever with work maybe, or gig work or whatever. Like, I got a lot going on. I don't have time to be listen, let me tell you something. We've got to do something, because if we don't, these companies are going to continue to get away with this, because they can. They absolutely can, and they absolutely will. You know what I'm saying? So we cannot allow them to get away with this. And the way that we're going to put a stop to it is the more of us get involved, advocate for ourselves, and complain. Right now, I'm not just advocating for myself, I'm advocating for you too. Because when there are more people like me who's willing to ask the right questions, push back, fight back, advocate, file complaints, all the things, the less likely it is for companies to continue to do this to people, right? Because you are put in harm's way when this happens, right? And another thing, protect your identity. Make sure that you are not so easily a victim, right? Because, and what I mean by protect your identity and the privacy of your information is make sure that you have your credit reports on lock with the 3 bureaus, right? Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Make sure you have a freeze on your reports, okay? Make sure you file reports with the agencies that I just spoke about. Make sure that you do a formal complaint and follow up with a demand letter like I did. I have one last final letter going out to them, giving them an opportunity to reveal themselves, to disclose, explain whatever they need to do. And if they don't, we're going to go to the next step. I'm going all the way in, okay? And I just want you to realize that this is what you can do as well, okay? So again, this video is getting lengthy, and I didn't know it was going to go this long, but I needed to get this out because I am just perturbed, mad, annoyed with, and just really pissed off that this is what's happening to people who are legitimately looking for work. And some people are, nearing homelessness. Okay, we already have that as a problem in our society, right? People are really hurting right now. The last thing they need is somebody to be shady and gamey and, jeopardize your situation right now even further, compromise your, they don't have any integrity, and they're compromising yours, right? They're undermining your intelligence. They're playing on your vulnerability right now, and it's not right, it's not fair, and I don't appreciate it. So I'm putting them on blast, and when I am in the clear, I will let you know the names of some of the companies that are doing this. And you would be surprised, because some of them are not just small companies, they're big names, okay? They're big brands, they're companies that you deem as legit. Some of them you may have even worked for or know people who have. You might even be working for one of those companies now, or maybe you try to get a job with them. So again, it doesn't matter if it's traditional 9-to-5 jobs. It doesn't matter if it is, freelance work or independent contract work. It's all the same. This is a systemic issue that is happening, particularly right now. Okay, and I do not appreciate that this is what's going on. And here's the thing too that I need to emphasize. We're already long. I might as well say this too. And by the way, again, if you're getting value from this, please do subscribe, save this video, come back to it, and share this out. We need to spread the message, okay? But the other thing I wanted to say that's really important is that this is why it's so critical for you to diversify your income streams, okay? So that you don't find yourself in a situation like this. And if you do, you're not depending solely on that 9-to-5 job or that gig work or just YouTube AdSense, right? Or, you know, your side business or side hustle, or you're not just depending on the freelance work or the independent contract work. You know what I'm saying? Like, mix it up, have a mixed bag, because you want to make sure that if one thing fails, you've got this and you've got that and you've got this and you've got that. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you do yourself a favor and you protect yourself in that way as well. Okay? And let me make sure too, because I just want to make sure I got some notes here, because I want to make sure that even though I went in right now, and like I said, I'm on one, I want to make sure that there isn't anything else that's important for me to say. If I think of anything that I didn't say in this video, I'll do a follow-up. Let me know what questions you have. Let me know if you've been in a situation like this before. Let me know, you know, what the outcome was. You know, what's your scenario currently? Do you know somebody who's going through this? Have jobs ghosted you? Do they get your information and you wonder why? That's weird. They just made it seem like hurry up and get your information in. I jump through hoops. I do all the requirements that they say, and then they ghost me, or then they say that they didn't select me. They moved on to another, you know, employee or another candidate or what have you. Let me know what the situation is or has been for you. I would love to help, and I would certainly be happy to do a follow-up video for you, okay? But all that to say, job security is not really secure, right? So we've got to have a mixed bag, diversify our income streams so that we are not dependent upon just one income stream. It's always risky. It's always risky, and this is no different. So I believe that's it for now. But like I said, if these are just the harsh realities, these are the times we live in right now. I hope this was of value to you. Listen, I'm going to tune out while you tune in. Be sure to watch the next video that YouTube recommends, okay? As always, and until next time, I am wholeheartedly in this journey with you. Bye for now.